Hold on, make sure it's recording. Okay, one more time. Okay, module 12. So music. What I like about this module is a couple different things. So if you are the music talent, if you have a music talent, like music, enjoy music, there's so much about music that does correlate with speech. I am not blessed with great music talent. I've worked with some great speech therapists who, there's been a couple of music therapists I know that have gotten their SLP license, and hey, more power to them. Definitely I see that being a great skill, and if you have it, awesome, utilize it, you enjoy it. A lot of our clients, and I'm talking the whole age span, really can respond to music. And what we do know is, there's a lot of neuroscience to support music in the brain. So definitely looking at some of those components, a lot of people will say, can we do that? Yes. I use music. The last time I really incorporated music, I had a client, and he was older. He was, I would say, a young adult with autism. He loved music, and we really we did a lot with lyrics, a lot of inferencing, a lot of innuendos in music. There's a lot of what I would call higher level critical thinking skills that are involved in music, lyrics, things like that. Definitely some cool things you can do to integrate music. So this particular one is the main one. There's some articles, there's some apps. I think one of them doesn't open. I think one of them only opens in Firefox. So let's talk about a couple different things. So incorporating music. So the other part too, when we talk about fluency, we talk about that in 215, and some of you are in that class. Definitely, I think music correlates a lot with fluency. And I like the little social stories. So one, my kids particularly like, the nice thing with Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu is a lot of the older shows can kind of be revisited for our newer generations. So, even watching something like Yo Gabba Gabba, there's a lot of little like social stories. In fact, I was just singing it earlier to my 4-year-olds. They have to do a little song about, don't bite your friends, and I'll sing it to my twins who are into biting right now. But a lot of those little music, limericks, little, what I would call repetitive music, have some great social skills in them embedded in there too. So like I said, Yo Gabba Gabba is one. I know in here we talk about like Schoolhouse Rock, Sesame Street, huge with some great music, things like that. So, and really what we like is songs are a fun way to get children actively involved while teaching language concepts or content. So how many of you can memorize song lyrics? Okay, you may not memorize other things, but you can maybe recite a whole song, because it just activates a different part and you can access. So a lot of times looking at song lyrics, that's accessing different parts of our brain. And some of those fun, what I call language concept songs, are easy to remember, and it really helps our young clientele kind of access some of that information or get that information repetitively. So counting, the ABC song, I think everybody's been exposed to that. The other part too is when we're looking at our adult population with aphasia, a song that has lots of meaning to them. Anybody with a traumatic brain injury, people that have had some, traumatic brain injury with amnesia. Some of that music can kind of help, like if you've ever listened to a song and it brings back a certain memory. So our episodic memories, a lot of times are tied to songs. So yeah, so think of songs you use that maybe have specific information, or rhymes too. Sometimes, like I said, I know all the basic concepts because I had learned my prepositions when I was in 4th grade. I still remember that song that we would sing with that. So when you're using a song, so if we're looking at our child clientele, a lot of times the song has to be lower than their language. So the grammar and vocabulary should be on or slightly above. I like a little bit lower just with our language late kids. But the other part is if we go lower, they can remember it. Sometimes we go higher, that challenges them to access that new information and remember the new information we're trying to teach them. So I go both ways. And then the repetition. So a lot of times we know a good learning strategy is the repetition part. So song incorporates that repetition piece and really some value. So a lot of times too, if we're teaching a song, so if we look at some of our clients with autism, does the song have meaning to them? So sometimes we learn songs and there's no meaning. Trust me, the Ariana Grande song I can't stand, but I can sing every lyric to. And there's no purpose for me to know that. But there's other songs that could have good content that we want someone to access on a regular basis. So like the ABC song, there's counting, there's days of the week, there's months of the year. These are useful things. And really that movement. So when we're looking at songs with movement, dramatic interpretation, or other type of visual stimulation, that helps that multi-sensory experience. So definitely music of any kind incorporates multi-sensory learning. So that's what I like about it. So what we do know is when we look at that preschool age or even birth to 3 population, a lot of times you use themes. So this article down here, we talk about thematic units. So if anybody has any education background, there's lots of good research about thematic units. And as SLPAs, if you work even in a clinic-based or in a school-based setting, you likely will use themes. So when I worked at this outpatient clinic, it was fun and we enjoyed it as therapists. So every summer we had like a week, we had water week, we had, I remember us doing Christmas in July, or we did, Patriot Week. We did things like heritage, or we picked one summer we did a different country and we learned about, and all of our activities and things. So we made sensory activities, we made fine motor activities, we made language activities, we made speech activities, we made physical therapy activities related to the theme. And it was fun because it incorporated all the therapists together. We were all kind of doing what I would call a fun unit to kind of, break up the monotony of therapy. In the clinic, it was fun. And we definitely, a couple group of therapists were in charge of each week. And that was fun. I enjoyed that every summer. I haven't worked there since I've had the twins in the summertime, but I do miss that. That was fun. Even in a clinic base, we used some of those themes, and music was a part of it. So we usually had like a playlist. We would do sometimes gross motor activities, fine motor activities, language activities to some of the music relating to the theme. And definitely when we're looking at kind of some of those gestures, those multisensory, sometimes we don't want it to be fast. We want the rate to vary, when we want the prosody of the song, maybe the pitch, as well as, if it's a movement song, like how many of us can remember, what was the silly one I was singing the other day with the teacher? We were doing the hokey pokey one. And we were doing, some concepts where they had to put whatever the vocab word was in and out. And that was fun. So there's some things, if you look at, there's an example, Teddy Bear Talk, you could take a song. So a fun one to change up, I'll change a lot, is like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. That's really easy. Wheels on the Bus is super easy to make up your own song too. There's some procedures we do in the class. And oh gosh, she used the Addams Family tune to that. There was a program that I did when I first came to Arizona. I was out of ASU, and they had this little, they would take, like row, row, row your boat. They would take a common song and change it for that phonemic sound of the week. And so that was fun. I think my preschool teacher that I worked with then, she still uses those because the kids remember them. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get that instant recall. Now, adults, the nice thing when we use songs with adults, it helps them access information maybe they knew prior. Definitely even something simple that sounds what I would say juvenile, but like the months of the year. So a lot of times when we're dealing with people with a traumatic brain injury and timelines, sequencing of time, some of those early songs help them access and remember, okay, even if they have to sing it. I worked with a couple adults who struggled with is March, April, like the time frame of the months was really challenging, and just kind of going through the months of the year song, days of the week too. What's after Tuesday? I can't begin to tell you how many clients that are adults struggle with the sequencing of weeks, sequencing of months, even counting, or some of those alphabetizing things can be challenging. So just know that there's a lot of different ways to incorporate music. And like I said, when we're looking at even something simple like artic or fluency, there's a lot of fun things you could do with songs. And I'd say social stories. Like I said, Yo Gabba is one. We've been playing a few of their songs. They have some good, you know, you got to wear your seatbelt before you get in the car. There's one that they do about, you know, wear your seatbelt, brushing their teeth, washing your hands, playing nice with your friends. There's a lot of social things too. Sesame Street also has some great ones. And what's fun to do is even sometimes the older kids will kind of, you'll see them, you know, playing these tunes and remember, help them remember things. A couple other things is there's some apps that uses songs. So a lot of the app builders, and they're oftentimes built into the app. So sometimes even just the music in certain things can help them trigger things. Like, I don't know if any of y'all are in the video games, but there's an app that my boys play that uses the Super Mario Brothers tune. And I can remember all those things, and they do a little, I don't know, sequence of fun things that my kids should remember with the Super Mario tunes. But if you could look at some of the apps. So I do like the app. There's some great apps in here that they list. Now there's a couple, like Smarter Years has been around for a long time. They've been updating their apps lately. I think a couple of them changed names from the ones listed here. Social Quest is another one that I think has been updated. Articulated is there. Proloquo. So Proloquo, when we're looking at some of our, in fact, I just did a training. I just was at a Social Express training, and that one's more video-based stuff. That's not necessarily music-based, but there's a lot of things in there. Proloquo is an AAC app. So I think in 242, you guys talk about augmentative communication systems. So those are apps that you use, and that helps access, that's that visual piece. So the nice thing about music, so that's where we're looking at that multisensory piece. So you can use music to help access information. Obviously music maybe with the visual, music maybe with movement, music that's repetitive helps them access that information is helpful. So these are just kind of helpful apps. And I don't know why I get random notifications down here, so ignore that. Minimal pairs. So the other fun part about songs is some of those early phonological skills like rhyming, that alliteration piece that you talk about when you're, you know, 10, 11, 12, but that's utilized a lot in songs, from easy nursery rhymes to, you know, songs we hear on the radio. Artic Picks, that's a good Artic app. That doesn't really have any music, but there's some good ones. A lot of times music you can use to reinforce a skill. So for instance, sometimes we're working in therapy, and this I use maybe music more for a reward versus as a therapeutic piece. But okay, you work, then you can have a break. So for instance, I work with a student, and I mean, this particular person they can only tolerate about 4 to 5 minutes of work, and that's hard for them, and then they need a break. The good part too is that reinforcement. So you can even use some reinforcement with our adult clientele. So the other part too is sometimes that opens conversation. So when you talk about music, taking a break, how do you kind of reset? A lot of times we use music in a sensory or what I would say mindful way. So when you're doing maybe our adult rehab, is how can we use music to maybe recharge, relax, help center ourselves for things that are difficult, especially for someone who has suffered a traumatic brain injury. So oftentimes music isn't necessarily a modality in therapy, is more of a reinforcement or kind of a reward. So there are a couple, we have one particular person we work with at school, and she likes a lot of the 80s. I mean, she's got some great 80s tunes that I think is maybe reinforcing for her teacher too, because she's, you know, totally 80s. And so it's fun. She works and then she gets to listen to one song. And then we have a list of songs. And then for speech, I incorporate her. She's got to verbalize the name of the song. So now we've got her saying the name of the song. Then she has to say the artist. And what's interesting is what we're finding is that some of the words that are, you know, in titles of songs, she's now starting to use in other contexts that are appropriate. So, you know, she likes a lot of like Def Leppard's definitely one of her favorites. And it was so funny because what did she say? Like, so we have a lot of kids that run off and we're always saying, walk with me, go this way, walk this way. And she always is, you know, walk this way. And then she does this little like kind of tune, but she's been using it appropriately. So she's starting to use little snippets of lyrics. It's so funny because Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard, we hear sometimes, you know, in a context that's appropriate. And we kind of giggled, me and the teacher and the OT, we were giggling the other day about it. But yeah, definitely she likes those 80s hair bands, but it's reinforcing and it's engaging and she's verbalizing more than she ever has. And I was telling her parents, you know, if she's trying to say the song, so there's another student I did this, we wrote out lyrics. So they either copied lyrics and then said them, and it was reinforcing. So that's kind of fun. So don't be shy about using music in a variety of ways, from a content standpoint, from a reinforcing standpoint, to using compensatory strategies. So sometimes we have clients, especially our adult clientele, that can get overwhelmed, especially if they've had a traumatic brain injury, aphasia, and they need to kind of get that centering. They got to kind of collect themselves, especially maybe for like doctor's appointments, things like that, like listening in the car. What are ways we can help ourselves be calm and get ready? Writing things too, if we're trying to help them write. Sometimes it's great to give music as a content for them to write down words or write down memories. So for instance, I had an adult client, had lots of grandkids who were all very musical, and we talk about instruments and some of the songs, some of the recitals. So oftentimes families will bring videos, and then you know, this person, she was obviously a choir director, and she wanted to return to choir directing and just listening to songs and starting to write the music. And then the verbs started coming, and then the nouns, which was interesting. Usually it's oftentimes the other way around, but I remember saying, you know, she got the verbs quick, and just kind of rewriting songs, writing even the music, not necessarily the words to things, helped access some of those language components for her. So, like I said, I think that if you can use it, this is a good one. Yeah, I like this little blog. And it kind of goes to show you how we can put the language. So this would be something we might do with our very young clients, but also I guess they've been using some of this music stuff with our Alzheimer's patients, dementia patients, Parkinson's patients. So this one's a great one. So if you read nothing else, music's another one that we that has been integrated a lot with apraxia that you talk about in 214. So this is kind of a nice little blog that gives some great info. So this, I really like this one. So think of something simple. And like I said, I gave just a random list of, you can use another common song. Oh gosh, what's the other one that people ask me about? And I don't know why I don't add it. Yeah, Itsy Bitsy Spider, row, row, row your boat. Twinkle Little Star, there's another one.
I have a question on this one.
Yeah.
It says refer to the attached sample prior to creating.
Yeah, I need to take that off. I don't
Okay,
put the sample
that's
there
fine.
anymore because everybody makes it look like mine. You know, and this is what I want. I want you guys to come up with something organic for you. And another person did one for an adult. Someone said, can I use something for adult rehab? And oftentimes what we use with adult rehab is something repetitive to kind of go through like sequencing of tasks. So for instance, there was some things one student did last semester about sequencing, you know, getting the house ready at night, like, you know, locking your doors, closing the garage. And they made a little kind of sing song, and they used a comment. What was the song? Oh, I wish I would have saved that one. I want to say it was like I want to say it was To Ice Ice Baby, but I could be wrong. Somebody else did one to that one too. You know, it doesn't have to be a little kid song. It could be a song that people know. Someone used a Beatles song too one time in there, and it's something easy. I'm talking something repetitive, something simple to help you remember a context. So what are you reinforcing? Lately, a new one we've been doing is washing hands, cleaning up, brushing your teeth, some things like that. So I've seen one, and I did something for adults. It's been a long time, gosh, it's been 15 years, about sequencing getting ready for bed, like washing their hands, brushing their teeth, putting their pajamas on, setting their alarm, something repetitive that they can kind of rehearse. So be creative, come up with your own. There's lots of examples too on the internet. If you find something else, please just credit it. So I do appreciate those of you who have been, if you've got something off TPT or off the internet that you credit it. As an SLPA, that's what you'll do. You don't make everything organically from scratch. So I do, as long as you tell me where you got it, that's all I'm looking for. Because ideally, you might have outpatient, you might have 8 clients that day, and all of a sudden you need something different. You're like, oh gosh, I've done this, this, and this isn't working. What can I do? And you search the internet, you pull up something off various therapy websites. If you use it, just credit it. There's some on like Everyday Speech. Like I said, the Social Express actually has some new ones for adults and teens, or I would say young adults, that I've been wanting to check out. I just went to their training on Friday. That seemed pretty good. So if you do find something that's not yours, you just need to credit it. And what I want is just, and even 2 or 3 minutes, it doesn't even have to be that long. Just how would you use the song? How would you use this music in a session? So that's what I'm looking for, is if you have music, how would you integrate that? Are you going to reinforce a skill? You know, what's the purpose of using it is what I'm looking for. You don't have to do the song. You don't have to sing the song. Someone's like, don't have to sing the song. No, you don't have to sing the song. Just, you know, tell me what song, what skill you're doing, and, you know, what is that going to reinforce, or how is the music going to be beneficial in your session? So that's what I'm looking for. That's what the video is for. You do not have to sing it. You do not have to perform it. So I need to put that on there. I will add that. And I need to take this off. I don't know why that keeps showing up. Probably because on our master one, sometimes it defaults to the other one. Okay. Any other questions? So there's some apps, you know, look up some apps. There's some already in your read and review. If you have used any of those or checked those out. No, you don't have to buy an app, try it out. You can, a lot of times if you go to the App Store, you can just read what it does. A lot of therapy blogs review it. So find new one. I've been, actually last semester, there's been some new ones that come out this past year because of COVID. There's a couple actually I wrote down that you guys gave me that I hadn't seen before. And there's one that a student posted last semester that I've been using now. So I definitely look at those. Those are fun to share. And if you have any app now that you use that you think might be beneficial, put that on there. Obviously for me, like somebody wrote Words with Friends for adults. Well, how many adults have played Scrabble, know Scrabble, maybe can connect from a social aspect with others? In fact, I still play Words with Friends with a friend of mine, her mom. She started doing it in her stroke rehab. And gosh, we've been playing 8 years. But there's a couple different things like that, that if you want to talk about how that could be beneficial, especially in our adult, because apps are what we're using. This is how we're kind of connecting with others, or how can it help our brain? So the fun part with like something like Words with Friends is it helps access some parts of the brain, keep you sharp. So those are some things. Feel free. If you think it's useful for therapy, use it. The Remind, there's like a Remind app. How would that be beneficial? Sure, a client with a TBI who's going to need reminders to do things. We were coming up with some apps for my coworker, her daughter, who's had a brain tumor, is recovering. Her issue is forgetting things, and we're coming up with all kinds of different strategies to help her remember things. And you know, she's glued to her phone. We all are. We're all glued to her phone. So how can we support people who have communication difficulties and using apps? So that's kind of that next level of just not music, but technology in general. Any other questions? All right, if not, I appreciate you guys joining me. I'm trying to get caught up.
Question in the chat.
Sure. Oh, did you put a question in the chat? I'm sorry. No. Yes. Okay. So what? Let me revisit. So I've been taking off due dates, but some of them keep defaulting. I don't think the college likes it when we've taken off due dates, so I apologize. I need to figure out how to override some of those things. I am not counting anything late. The only thing I really wanted is midterm. If you don't have a grade, or if I don't have something, because there is something I need to put if you don't pass the midterm, although I don't anticipate anybody having that difficulty. But basically, I'm not counting anything late for the rest of the semester. Just everything is due. There are some people who want to be done sooner than the extension of the semester. So if anybody has a deadline and they need to be done before the new extension, let me know. But I'm just wanting to try to get you guys not to get too far behind. So trying to give you some reminders and things, so no one's, waiting until the last minute to do like 6 modules. That's not healthy for any of us. But I know a couple of you have emailed me, let me know, hey, behind on this, things are getting caught up. Absolutely. Let me know if you're having any difficulty keeping up. But I might send you a reminder, hey, this is from, 3 modules ago, get that in. So I just don't want to let anybody get far behind, but I think the other part is I don't want to penalize you with the problems that were from the college, not from you guys. So basically, I'm not counting anything late, basically from module 8 on. So get it in if you are behind. If you are behind, try to get caught up to keep pace. So you're behind 1 or 2 assignments, I'm not going to sweat it, but I don't want you to get like 3 modules behind and then you got to make it up. So I'm just trying to keep everybody going forward, and not, I just don't want anybody to be a procrastinator. Now, some of y'all might need due dates, which I understand that too. So just like this week, I'm working on module 12, get module 12 done by Sunday. But I'm just giving everybody a lot of leeway this semester, because some of this was not your fault. So I don't want anybody penalized for that either. Does that make sense? I'll reiterate that, and I'm trying to override some of the due dates default back. So I apologize for that. Any other questions? All righty. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight, and then check by Friday, check some of those previous modules that aren't graded. I don't think I have all of module 10. I think that's like 90% graded.